Good afternoon. I just want to do a check in, see how everybody's doing. Kind of had a lull last couple weeks, and so I just want to make sure that we're, keeping up on things and making sure that we haven't checked out already. I know it's easy to do, coming up on the holidays, times are, it seems like our days are shorter, but the stuff that we have to do gets longer. And so I just want to make sure we keep this stuff, fresh in our heads and kind of talk about things. You guys can hear me, see me, let me know. I appreciate it. And, thanks for tuning in. And so, yeah, I've been busy, as you can see, and I bet all of you have been busy. But I don't want things to fall through the cracks. And so I want to make sure that whatever we're doing now in kind of the off season, the downtime, is we're staying up to date with what's happening. And what are we doing to better our position, our fighting position? And so there's a lot of things that we could be doing right now, and I'm hoping that maybe I can inspire people to kind of take the initiative to maybe do some things. And a prime example is letters to the editor, right? There was a letter to the editor that came from the other side that I submitted, and it was hard to read. And it was something that it wasn't based in any sort of reality. And it's just the way these people operate. And so I appreciate you guys tuning in. And so what struck me as odd with this, letter to the editor is how it lacked any sort of reality. And there was a comment in that post where the guy talked about, using a marshmallow to defend his family, which in relation to what was said in that letter to the editor, that was probably a good idea. They don't want you to defend yourself. They want you to submit to your attacker. They want you to negotiate with them, give them lots of hugs, maybe, you know, hold hands, maybe. So, so they live in this altered sense of reality. Well, it's very, very dangerous for us because, they continue to move the ball forward. They continue to come up with this stuff and it doesn't make any sense. It never will make any sense. It will never save a life. And so that's kind of what they do. And so, it's really, really important is just we stay up to date, make sure it's easy to check out. And I totally understand. I've been busy and I've been trying to focus on other things, getting ready for the end of the year. And, so I my attention's been kind of other places, which I think is good. I mean, my mental health is I've had a just it's been challenging for me. And so I'm glad to have the Harney County ruling behind us. So now we know where we're at. It seems like the I was checking yesterday with an FFL. Seems like the background check queue was up, and it was like it's 700 to 800 yesterday. Which so people are out there buying guns, which is good. It tis the season, so go ahead and buy them when you can. Obviously, support those small shops though. And but also part of this is what are we doing to prepare for when the legislature opens back up? Have you talked to any of your representatives? Have you talked to your senators? Do they know your position? Do they know how Measure 114 impacted your life? And so these are just little hints and little ideas on how you can stay fresh when it comes to this stuff and not totally get apathetic. I think one of the biggest challenges we face here in Oregon is the fact that it's really easy for us to kind of check out because we have so many other things going on. And so we don't always pay attention to the stuff that's happening, and that's how they continue to beat us. And so that's where it's really, really important is we stay up to date and we understand that excuse me, they're not going to stop. And and we got to be prepared for that. And so part of that is just, what can we build upon what we learned in the last year? And, there's, and part of this is repetition. For us as people that shoot a lot, and the comments are really quiet. So I don't know if people are watching this, or I don't know. It could be a Facebook thing. But anyways, is repetition. So we learn better when we do everything, 1,000 repetitions create the habit, and so this is the time where we can practice all the stuff that we learned over the last year. We could be writing our senators, we can writing our representatives, we can letters to the editor, a great example. Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you guys, and And so the other things, just something to think about. Also watch, what's happening politically around us and across the country. Is there, there's been some really big victories as of late, in other courts. And, so I'm optimistic. I feel like we are in a good spot. I did file a FOIA request with the Oregon DOJ last week. It wasn't this, right? This is part of my repetition, is part of my practice, is staying sharp, is doing these little videos. And, I hope you guys take something from them, because it helps me kind of get my words out, and it kind of gives me a sounding board. Is this resonate? Does this make sense? Is this helpful? And so the repetitions is critical. And so the only way we're going to be able to get better is by making sure that we practice the skills that we've already worked on. So, you know, setting up the Google alerts. I set up my Google alerts. I got a Google alert last night, talked about the news story that aired yesterday, which was great for us. And so there's just these little things that I've automated in my life that makes everything so much easier for me. And I know there's a lot of people that they don't necessarily like the tech. I get it, but in this day and age, it's really important that we tap into that, because there's so much information out there that could be missed. And so, make sure you're getting your information from a good trusted source. There's lots of good websites out there, Bearing Arms, AmmoLand. I cite those pretty heavily. Um, there's some other good stuff on Substack. So there's always a way for you to increase your knowledge and understand kind of the big picture when it comes to this stuff. And everything that you can do, in this downtime, in the off season here, is to help get you to a point where you're going to be more effective when it's time to clock back in. And so, that was kind of the point of me kind of checking in with you guys, just kind of see where we're at. Seems like everybody's been quiet. It's been nice not having to, feel that we're under this constant barrage of what's happening. So it's been great to have a little bit of time to breathe and refocus. But, I just definitely don't want to lose the momentum that we built. And so that's why, whatever we can do, we can dedicate 10, 15 minutes a night, and it doesn't take a lot. And I was talking to a gentleman earlier about, the way I'm looking at this stuff. And this stuff, we're talking about our gun rights. It's, we can be proactive with our approach, which is going to prevent us from having to be reactive. And so what I mean by that is similar like a cancer treatment. If we treat the cancer early and we have lots of treatment for the cancer, the likelihood of that cancer spreading and becoming this huge problem where we have to amputate, or it takes a life, go down. That's the same concept here when it comes to the maintenance of us doing our daily routine and adding something that we can do to help better our position as a gun rights advocate. And so, these little emails, if you could do something to increase your knowledge, reading good stories out there, increasing your vocabulary when it comes to terms that we could use against the other side, and how we can re-educate the other side. And see, these are all things that we could be doing without the pressure of lawsuits, without the pressure of a short legislative session. There's all these little things that we can practice. And I think right now, with the session not being in, it's important to just maybe send a nice email out to your representative, your senator, and just touch base and say, hey, hope you're having a good time. This is who I am. This is I'm one of your constituents, and maybe they might not be on your side, but you can extend that olive branch and build that rapport, get that repetition in. And it's when we get these repetitions, you notice, like when we were in the heat of everything last year, when I would put out a call to actions, you guys, and it was amazing to watch, is you guys would start putting done, 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 like every time somebody would send an email to their representative or whatever you guys had to do. You guys were fully engaged, you guys were fully clocked in. And so that was really great to watch. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping, that I don't want to lose this momentum that we have. We got a huge victory, and the other side, they're licking their chops. They did not like the fact that the Constitution held, because they thought they're going to be able to do whatever they want to us. And so they're going to come back. And I don't want to feel like we're starting back at zero. I guess that was the whole point of this video is to make sure that we're staying active. Active is checking on a post. Active is making sure that just checking in with your neighbors, having conversations about guns and gun safety and all this other stuff, the stuff that's important to us. Talk about guns. I think I do a lot with my own life as I talk about guns, because that's who I am as a gun guy. And I know there's a lot of people like that, like me, out there. It's just have those conversations, even if they're not an easy conversation. Sometimes these people, they don't understand the Constitution. They don't understand what that loss in Harney County meant, and so maybe be in a position where you can explain it to them in a way that they're going to understand. They might not have to agree to it with it, but the fact you're able to extend the olive branch to them, to kind of get that mental repetition in. That's kind of what I want to focus on today. There's been no changes. I haven't seen anything, excuse me, out of the Attorney General's office. They've been talking about filing appeal. I'm not sure what that looks like. I feel that we have some time, and I feel that they're going to try to figure out, what that looks like. I did talk to people up in the legislature, being a short session of what happened last session with the walkout. It's going to be really hard, and I don't quote me on this, okay? But it's going to be really hard for them to pass an anti-gun bill, and so that's I hope, and I keep my fingers crossed. And it doesn't mean I'm not going to be involved in this situation going into the next session, but I feel that it bought us some time. And the only thing I'm concerned about is maybe how well they take that loss in Harney County. So obviously there's things that I do have to worry about, and I'm still going to be concerned about. But from the conversations that I've had, then we might be okay for this short session. And so that's good news. But I don't want to take the foot off the accelerator, and definitely I don't want to just rest, because there's no telling what they could do. The beginning of the session, I believe it starts in the beginning of February. And so they're finalizing right now what the bills are going to be introduced. And so they're kind of putting everything together. I believe it's the beginning of January is when everything's going to be active on OLIS, the OLIS website. And so then we'll be able to kind of track and figure out what's happening there. Obviously, the places we're going to be looking on OLIS is going to be either the Judiciary Committee or the Ways and Means Committee, because if it's going to be a new gun bill, it's going to be in the Judiciary Committee because it affects law. If it's something that has to be funded, it's going to be in Ways and Means. So there's a couple committees that I would focus on, and I'll keep everybody as best in up to date when I know more. But I need your help, and so what I need by what I mean by that is I need you guys just to do something little every day, to make sure that you are still in this with me, because the only way we continue to fight this stuff, and it's going to come at us from different levels and different, it's going to come nationally. It's going to come wide. It could come at a county level. So there's all these things that are going to come after us. And so we have to stand together. And the only way we can do that is making sure that just little bits and pieces, if we get that little repetition per day or a couple times a week where, we're thinking about it and we're exercising it, it's going to make it that much easier. Oh, 100% right here. Yeah. Yeah, and that's I saw the debate last week, and it was a whooping. Ron DeSantis, I'm not a huge fan of him just because he's kind of like a robot to me. And I think he's got some good policies, but he kind of seems very robotic. And I felt like he really handled, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom, I don't know why this guy just won't go away. I mean, there's no reason for him to even be in a position that he's in. Um, and so the fact that we shouldn't take this guy seriously, but the fact he's there, that's scary. So be very, very aware of that. And you're from Cali. Oh yeah, yeah, Kyle. Yeah. It's I don't know if you watch podcasts. Podcasts are another way to get really good information. I was watching one today, the Sean Ryan show. I really like him. He's a retired Navy SEAL, has a really good platform. And he had a guy that actually ran for governor. He ran for governor against Gavin Newsom, and he was a Democrat that came out as an independent, and he has some really good points. And he talked about California and kind of the landscape there. I think the landscape in California is important to note because a lot of that is coming here to Oregon and other parts of the country. So they've destroyed they've destroyed that state, and now they're moving to our state, and they're bringing that politics and that form of politics. So it's a really bad thing. Another thing that we want to be mindful of is the attorney general race. Okay, so there's going to be the secretary, the Senate leader Dan Raisfield. I think he's a Democrat. He's going to be running to replace Rosenbaum because she's not going to run again, so she's done. Thank goodness, hallelujah. And the challenger is Will Lathrop, and he's a Republican. From what I hear, he's a great guy, and I feel that like if we can do anything to support that race and get that position, that would be huge for us as gun owners. Is to get somebody that's going to understand the Constitution and support our rights, and so as we get closer and we know more, that's going to be something that we can kind of use this platform to kind of make sure that we're all voting right. We have to make so yeah, Brad. Hey, Brad. I hope you're doing good. But yeah, I'm from what I hear, he's a solid guy, and definitely I want to do whatever we can to get him in that position. Okay, Ray's field, anti-gun as they get. He's the one. Him and Kotek and Fahey, they all work together with the lockdowns. 2005, 2002. So that's where we have to understand if we can get some victories here, and it's all about the repetition, right? It's staying in part of this process, and so I feel really good about him, and I'd love to meet him and kind of figure out how we can work together to kind of make sure that he gets that spot. Well, it's still a long ways off, and so I'm not going to be defeated because when I'm defeated, I don't partake. And we saw what happened last year with Measure 114 is we didn't have that perfect candidate for governor, and we didn't show up and vote, and we didn't get a good governor, and we got Measure 114. And so we have to change that defeatist mindset. And I know it's easy to feel that everything's stacked against you, but you got to hold your head high and understand that if I can do my part to help you do your part and you do your part to help the next person do their part, that's how we change this stuff. And so, you know, and it is what it is. And to be honest with you, the attorney general's office, that race, that's not something that's going to be, you're not going to see huge crowds of people. I mean, most people don't even understand that position. And so, I get the young vote, but ultimately it comes down to everybody. I mean, everybody has to show up and vote. I mean, so it's a challenge. I don't want to get too political here, but I just stay in the fight. Stay in the fight with me, and just know that we're all in this together, and we want to make this state a better place, and we can only do it if we get the practice in and make sure that we stay. We keep that knife sharp. So that's about all I got. I want to do a kind of a quick one and just kind of touch base. I hope everybody's doing well. We're coming up on the holidays. Tough time for a lot of us. So be mindful of your circles. Watch your mental health. So that's about all I got. So unless you guys have anything, I'll kind of check my comments here. Pretty quiet today, which I appreciate. It's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with all this stuff, but it's going to be a lot harder if we're starting at ground zero again, and we don't want to start at ground zero again. I feel good that we're not going to be in that place. And so it's just, you know, boo. I don't know what that means, but so you can boo all you want. You can also who. I choose not to. I'm going to keep I'm going to stay positive. And one thing throughout this process, right? As much as it was hard for me to stay positive, I knew deep in my heart because of him up here that we were going to be victorious. And so that's where it's so important, is that mindset. It's easy to get defeated. It's easy to feel that the deck stacked against us, and that's what they want. They want you out of this fight, and everything is mental. So if you whatever you can do to improve your mental position, and that's going to be, once, because we if we take them off their talking points, because they expect us to be these radical extremists, and we show up and we're personable, we're relatable, that's how we're going to build these bridges. That's how we're going to stop this stuff. Some people we're not going to be able to convert, but some we can, because there's a lot of moderate people out there that just want this stuff to stop, but they will also want a fresh idea. The stuff that they've been doing for the last 20, 30 years, it's never worked. It never will work. And all while people continue to lose their lives. And so, we're working on, repealing the 110, which I think was a great thing, because it's going to help with drug abuse and the violence and all that stuff. Yeah. 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 Halloween that was a couple months ago, so another thing that I try to do is I try to focus on the future. And I know it's important to remember the past, but I also focus on the horizon, because I don't want to get defeated, I guess. I don't want to feel that it's hopeless, because I don't feel like it's hopeless. If we all work together, none of this stuff is hopeless, and we're not helpless. That's for sure. The whole point of this is staying and fresh and sharp, is to make sure that we don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in court cases, because we're able to stop this stuff before it gets to the court. And it just we have to clock in. And I know it's easy to just take some time off, and I get it. I totally get it. So other than that, I'm gonna get off here. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys have a great day, and I will touch base as soon as I have any more information on what's happening, and we'll go from there. So thanks. Have a good day.